Check it out, guys. In case you missed the last video, this is the 86 that I just picked up for my daughter Kristen. And we're at FoxResto. There's Della driving the 86. And we got Matt back there. Friends at FoxResto, Gearhead 704 is back for a limited time. Actually, I don't know how long. But anyway, what we're doing today, in case you missed the last video, revealed the new car on the channel right here. Instead, today, we're gonna go through everything wrong with it. I used to do this in the past because Matt and Della here at FoxResto, they had this whole punch list of checks that they do on the car, so you can figure out everything wrong with it. They call it inspection. They do inspection. I think it's like 300 points. I'll ask Matt here in a second. But we're gonna do one on the 86. Actually, they've already done it. We're gonna go over it. So you guys are gonna find out everything wrong with the 86 GT that we bought from Chris, the infamous project. So now that you can hear, I'm gonna stop talking because it's no fun. Hello and welcome to Gearhead 704. I'm Matt and I still remember how to do that, apparently. It's been a long time, guys, since I filmed a video, but I started the new series here on the 86 as you saw in the intro there. But what I wanna talk about before we get into everything wrong with this car, which it's a 37-year-old car, I think, is explain what we're actually doing here, because I am at FoxResto, and as I mentioned in the little teaser there, they do have an inspection process that's very thorough. So I'm gonna bring the owner in here through the power of, see if I remember how to do this, through the power of YouTube. I'm gonna bring Matt, the owner of FoxResto, in right now. Hey, there we go. Matt, that was the worst I have ever done, but you made it here.
I finally made it.
Yeah, the transporter was a little dirty or something. The Heisenberg compensator, that's what it was. Anyway, guys, in case you forgot what he looks like, this is Matt from FoxResto, and Matt, we're making a video again. This is kind of weird.
Is that what we're doing?
I think so.
We're just hanging out.
Yeah, we're doing that too.
Okay.
But yeah, you got a paper there.
I do.
It looks a little lengthy.
Yeah.
Why is that? What are you holding there?
Yeah. This is a copy of the inspection report for the car here, and this is a service that we offer. We completely go over the car bumper to bumper. We check everything on the interior. We look over the body. We check the function of everything in the trunk. Under the hood, we put it up in the air. Everything under the chassis, check the brakes, basically go through the whole car. We do a little extra. If you have a mass air car, we'll go ahead and pull the computer and go through it to see if it needs to be rebuilt, see if there's any corrosion or any problems there.
Because you guys do repair those?
We do repair those, absolutely, yes. And also one of the biggest problems on these cars, vacuum leaks. So that is also included with the inspection, is we go ahead and we smoke test the motor to see if there's any vacuum leaks. We pull the steering column shroud off to check the ignition switch. Basically, look over all the common issues that that these cars have. Stuff
that that goes out. So you did a smoke test on this one too?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I forgot that was part of the inspection. But what's different this time, Matt, is normally we have a customer in here, and I'm shooting the video. But in this case, I'm half owner. Well, it's her car. It's Kristen's car. But I'm feeling a little bit more pressure with this one because I know I got to do the work.
Yeah,
but,
you do.
Yeah.
You may have to start coming in here a little bit.
I might have to make a few more appearances. I think they would like that on the channel. They miss my beautiful. Anyway. Okay. Well, so it's very thorough inspection. You've done a lot of them now. I remember we did the very first one like 18 months ago or more.
I was going to say it's probably almost 2 years since we've been doing them.
Probably is 2.
We do a lot of them. Pretty much every car that comes through here gets it, and everyone is pretty much surprised by what I find on the inspection. I've had a lot of situations where they'll come in and it's like, oh, I just want AC. It's like, well, let me look it over. You may have something you need to spend money more on than AC, and sure enough, we ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff to the car and the AC, but we got them going.
Well, what's interesting about this one is I believe, I'm trying to remember the mileage, I think it's like 57,000 or something, I forgot. Do you remember how many miles?
It's less than that because it's less than 50,000 original miles.
It's less than 50? All right. What does it say on the odometer there?
Well, she's wrong.
No?
57's my guess. What was it?
All right, we were both wrong. I guess 53,007.
Because that's what it is. It's just over 50. Okay, but still, it's a 50,000 mile car essentially.
It is.
But what's interesting is
still got the nice new Fox interior smell too.
Yeah, but that part's good. But as we're gonna find, just low mileage doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with the car.
Correct. Yeah, because honestly, age will do as much as driving it rough almost.
Yeah.
Age can do. Rubber dries out and shrinks. Doesn't matter how much you drive it. It just happens with age. And you can come in just for an inspection. You obviously don't have to do any work if you just want the inspection. Actually, a really good use for the inspection is if you're looking to buy a new FoxBody or a FoxBody that's new to you, you can actually bring it, if you can convince the current owner to bring it over, I would be happy to go through the car before you buy it, pre-purchase inspection, so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I thought about that on this one, but since it was in Texas, I just went ahead and bit the bullet. No, that's a good point though, guys. So if you're looking to buy one, maybe in your local, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, for those that don't know. have it over here and see if so you know what you're getting into. Really,
Yeah,
it's a good idea. Okay, well, I think with that we're going to jump into the inspection, but before we do, Kristen, are you nervous? You have the report over there. This is your car.
I know. I'm not too nervous.
No?
I feel like we're in pretty good hands here.
All right. See, we paid her off, Matt.
there you go.
All right.
What we start with is we start with a test drive. Me and Della will take it on a test drive. We both go, so you know sometimes there's something more audible on the passenger side than the driver's side. Plus, she'll take the notes while I'm doing the drive.
Yeah, team effort.
Yep, front strut, right front strut's a little blown out, and the rim's rubbing up against that, so that makes a fun noise.
Yeah, it's gotten a little worse, right? So I've driven it once on the way over here. I think that video already went up, but it was making some noise, especially on like a right turn. It was making more noise, but
Yeah.
now it's
pretty much all the time. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that strut blew out.
All right.
Your idle's a little low. It's running about 600 or so. Should be a little bit higher. I think that has to do with the fact that it's running rough. Pretty sure that you got one cylinder that's just dead. It's running with like a dead mess, which is going to make the RPM low, make it smell like gas, and also not make it as powerful. So that's something we can fix.
Is that more like a tune-up type deal, you think? Or
More
first
than
step?
likely, yeah,
Okay.
more than likely. It's most of the time that's what it's a tune-up. You know, typically if this was a higher mileage car, I might be concerned about something internal on the engine, something that's fouled out the plug, like a bad ring, or if you got a head gasket that's leaked, you know, cooling into the combustion chamber, can foul everything up. But I don't expect anything like this, honestly, with yours. Probably expecting just a tune-up issue because you are running the original 1986 date-coated wires.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing everything else on there's
It's
original
pretty
as
much
well.
stock, yeah. Kristen, I don't know if you know this, and for the viewers, they don't know, but you can see on the spark plug wires here, a little dark. I'll brighten this up, guys, in post, but 1986. Oh, here we go. Now we'll try it again. Yeah, that helps. There you go. There's a 1986 right there. So, yeah, the replacement plugs don't have that, obviously, right, Matt? So,
No, and they're not numbered. They're not cylinder numbered either.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much all original car.
Yeah.
It is an all original car. Not pretty much, it is.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay, so you on the test drive, you saw those things kind of missing.
Yeah,
What
I
else?
saw those things. Transmission shifts a little rough between shifts, but that's going to be more than likely due to the fact that your engine's running rough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the engine's not running smooth enough. You'll get, you know, a little bit of a bumpy shift. Even on my car, after I rebuilt the transmission, driving around, I still wasn't happy between the shifts. Just coincidence, I decided to go ahead and do injectors to kind of clean up a little bit of an idle issue. And the new injector smoothed out the motor, and it perfectly smoothed out the shift on the transmission.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So-
realize they were related.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is that more so an automatic and manual, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Because the engine, you never disengage the automatic from the crankshaft like you do with the clutch. I don't know if it's
That makes sense.
so yeah, the engine, how the engine runs has everything to do with how it shifts.
yeah, this is the first auto in the family, guys. So, Kristen, got an auto.
Very excited.
So we'll go over all the lighting.
Okay.
You go take a look at your headlights. One's a little weak right there.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that's probably because it could be a bad plug, it could be a bad bulb.
Okay.
I don't think it's the ground, because the ground will run both high and low beams, so your high beam is working fine.
Yeah,
so
high beams are
honestly,
good.
that's either like maybe a slightly corroded plug, but I suspect it's probably just going to be a bad light bulb. Just
Okay.
a light bulb going out.
We'll change the bulb, and that's easy enough.
Fog lights, you got a fog light not working?
All right, yeah, see, this one's on the right. Yeah, so we got one on, guys, and one
Yeah.
out. So maybe just replace the light, or we start
Probably
with that.
just the bulb.
The bulb, yeah.
Probably just the bulb.
Okay.
Also, don't leave these fog lights too long with the plastic covers on. It will melt the covers.
I was wondering about that.
It will.
I didn't know you could see any light with the covers on, actually. That's kind of cool.
Not all the covers do that. The ones
Okay.
used on the pace car don't. They're solid, but the ones used for basically 83 to 86, they got the little slit in it.
Okay. That's going to be trivia later. Got to remember that.
Ooh.
And the only other thing I got noted is the tag light lenses are just starting to yellow and spider crack a little
Oh,
bit. but
okay.
Not too bad.
Yeah, back in here.
probably wouldn't-
Those are
yeah.
easy to replace.
Exactly, just 2 screws. But
Oh, yeah, I see, but I wouldn't mind this going out, other than it's illegal, but I wouldn't mind.
yeah. There you go. That's
Okay.
right.
That's not too bad on lighting. I'm surprised all the lights still work. They're probably all original.
Yeah. Della has notated on here, no sun visors lights, but your visor rod is very loud and sticky.
Is that an age thing, too? I guess it must be.
Yeah, just a little bit of corrosion on
Okay.
that on the pivot, because it's kind of like a spring-loaded pivot, so you know, a little bit of corrosion in it.
Is it driver or passenger side? You should say.
Notate that. Probably driver's side.
Yeah, I can tell it's a little sticky. All right, here's something I know about.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
Guillotine. So
Right.
yeah. So this thing weighs a ton, so your hatch struts are no good. That's an easy fix.
You know, we couldn't actually initially to get it over to you. We couldn't even get it to shut.
Right, and that's probably because the striker bushing's missing. Sometimes you can remove the washer and just put a bushing on, but a lot of times you're gonna the washer, you can't get it off, so you just got to buy the whole bolt assembly.
Okay, so I should just put new bushing in and new, what do you call them? Struts? Hatch struts. Okay.
I know how heavy that thing is.
Yeah, you've had to hold it up, haven't you?
I did help hold it up.
Yeah, the hatch is out of alignment just a little bit.
Okay.
You can see it's leaned over here. That kind of overhangs.
Yeah.
And then if you go over here,
It's a little too far
it's
in.
sunk
Yeah,
in and it's actually hitting the body right here. Chances are that is the result of somebody using a stick instead of replacing the hood struts or hatch struts, just using a stick, and a lot of times
I've seen people do that.
Yeah, if they put it right here, watch.
Oh, there you go.
You see it
Yeah,
sagged
let me
to
back
that
up.
side,
Yeah.
and it's gonna bend the whole thing.
Sure enough.
Compared to where if you just do it with the struts like this, or
Okay.
one side.
So what do you do about that?
First thing is hatch struts. See how that comes into line. Adjust the bumpers with just bumpers really low, so we can
Okay.
screw that out to see if that helps a little bit. This one's screwed out a little bit. And then after that, you might actually have to adjust the hinges, or hopefully just maybe be able to tweak it, because these things are not welded very together. There's an outer skin and an inner shell. And a lot of times the welds and the adhesive will break loose, and then the inner and outer shells will start moving.
Sorry, I gotta stop you. I'm scared. We're near this car and you're saying welding. I'm not sure that. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm not welding on this one.
Okay, well it's gonna be a driver anyway, so we'll see Kristen on that. We'll replace him and see how it looks afterwards. We're gonna sit in the car. Can we sit in your car, Kristen?
I give you permission.
Okay. This is her car, guys. So, and sorry for all the lighting today.
Now watch your knees. You don't have the seat track extender in this one for you, man.
All right, switching to the interior now.
All right, so we covered the hatch. The next thing is turn it on. You turn the stereo on. Original radio, you hear all that crackling.
Yeah, she pointed that out already.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty easy to get rid of.
Oh, really?
That's just the rheostat in there, and there's a little bit of corrosion and just crud built up on the coils. Take the radio out, and there's a hole in there, and you can spray some electrical cleaner and just work the knob back and forth quite a bit, and you'll eliminate 90 to 100% of that
I have
noise.
another way to eliminate that.
You're gonna put another radio in there.
What do you want, Kristen?
CD player.
CD player.
She wants a CD player.
Absolutely.
I wonder if you can fit the 93. I mean, it's probably so old, but I was thinking I know some of the.
I don't even know if you could
cars.
find the 93s.
Yeah,
honestly.
all right, we're just gonna go
looking
with
at the older
aftermarket.
radio. I just go with aftermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
keep this around for a little bit though.
There you go. Windows a little slow. That one doesn't seem to want to work at all right now. Hit that switch over there. Oh, so now you need a window motor on that side. That just went out.
Yeah, it did,
That
because it was
just
working
went
before.
out. Yep. So you need a window motor over there.
Wow. Inspection
nice.
live inspection.
That's what I told you. You know, driving a car this old, you're gonna find out what's wrong with it as you drive it. I believe there was motor play. Yeah. Just like in convertible, they get the same wear.
Okay.
So basically, window motors, guide bushings. You know you need run channels. That one's there split. Same thing with the lock actuators. They're a little weak working right now. Lubricating the latch may help a lot of that. The blend door cable, that's your hot to cold right there. It binds right here and is real stiff. Now, that is just as important as an arrow, a little bit more important on these, because that cable being stuck like that, if it gets worse or if you just continue forcing it, it will actually break the plastic mount off of the back of the control head. And you cannot get these, really can't even get them used anymore. If you want to keep your AC working properly, simple blend door cable, put a new one in, lubricate it, and then it'll be nice and free. But that's gonna keep from the back of this console head being busted out.
To replace the blend door cable, do you have to take this whole assembly out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty, just 3 screws.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, tilts forward and out.
I'm picturing
And
heater
then
core.
4
But, I mean, we
screws.
have to do heater core anyway.
The heater core, the whole dash is coming
Yeah, I
out.
know.
Yeah. So when we do the heater core, honestly, with the age of it, we'll just put an evaporator in too.
Just to highlight, guys, here, in case you didn't see it, behind this is something called a blend door cable. Easy replacement. We know about the heater core, in case you guys missed some of the other uploads. It exploded on us and came out on both sides, Matt.
Oh, wow, you did a good job.
Yeah. Oh, it's all
right.
me. It's all me. It's really dark. I'm sorry, guys.
Your ignition switch, it's not horrible, but it's starting to go out. And what we're looking for is we're looking for this plastic piece here that the plug plugs into to be loose. You can see it.
Yeah.
You got some movement here. Not horrible, but it should be tight. So technically that is starting to wear. And this is something that, you know, with enough use, we'll leave her on the side of the road pretty quickly. And it'll be without warning, just all of a sudden the car stops running or doesn't start.
Well, the good news is that was like one of my last videos. I know how to replace that one.
Ah, okay, so you know where to watch to find it.
Yeah.
And know where to watch how to replace it.
Yeah.
Your tilt steering column bolts are a little loose. There's a Little bit of play here. That's just tighten some bolts and it takes care of that.
Okay.
Just like your hatch striker bushing, your door striker bushings are missing.
Okay.
So again, that's an easy replace, either just a bushing or a whole bolt.
Is that weird that they're all missing, or there's over time they get old and crack and then it's easy to fall off?
It's over time they get old and cracked. You got to keep in mind whenever you're closing the door, it's not easy on those. They're an impact absorber. They're getting hammered every time that door closes. So it's not unusual. You have a little bit of play in the door hinge pins over here, which if it's too much, it will cause that bushing to go out prematurely, the striker bushing. But that one right there, you can let it roll for a little bit because that's pretty intense. Those pins have never been replaced before, so they got to be cut out. Okay. Yeah, they're just not an easy removal. They got to be cut out.
Did they have to be cut out when they were like brand new, like 2 years old, 30,000 miles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what it is, instead of making them serviceable, they literally put them into a machine and they ping them over. They basically smash the metal on the top of the pin to flare it out to retain it. So that's why you have to cut it. Yeah. Whereas the replacements, they just go in with a head on one end and a cotter pin on the other. So if they've been done before, it's like a 5-minute thing. If they haven't been done before, it's a good hour plus. Your gas cap strap's broken. Yeah, the original. And as far as the weather strip goes, which is the last thing on your interior here, you know, you need the run channels. Your door weather stripping is pretty good, so basically you're just looking at the run channels. The dew wipes, they're starting to harden a little bit. So once they stop touching the glass as you roll it up and down, which you can determine that by, like, you know, if it rains and you roll it down and it doesn't wipe, then they've shrunk, pulled away, and need to be replaced. But other than that, that wraps it up for the interior, and we can go on under the hood.
Okay. Did it look like a 50-some thousand mile interior to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't have a doubt that this is a 53,000 original model car.
Based on what you found?
Yeah, based on what I found, because a lot of what we're going to recommend is age.
Okay.
Age, not so much wear or being broken, but more of age. Just like the blend door cable, that's age. The rheostat, that's age.
You know what that is like? It's like me and you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're fine, but it's the age. You know, we weren't necessarily broken, but the age wore us out.
Exactly.
Check it out, guys. I forgot. It had been so long since I actually have these light things that make it look good. So you can actually see. And Krista, I forgot to point this out. The shirt you're wearing.
Absolutely.
That's our buddy. Look. Lou Creator right there. Harris Lou. Shout out, buddy, if he's still watching. Matt remembers his car. Remember Calypso, Matt?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, so now we've got good lighting. What are you seeing under the hood here?
All right, so as far as under the hood, the radiator cap.
Is it not holding some?
It's not, so I probably can't hear it, but
I can hear it a little bit. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I could.
Yeah, so when,
yeah, Kristen, come here and listen to this.
That's the radiator cap not sealing. It should.
Do it down close.
Oh. Nah.
But yeah, so okay, well that's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. It's not holding pressure any longer, so definitely need to replace that. We did a vacuum test, or I'm sorry, smoke test to check for vacuum leaks.
Yeah.
You do have a pretty large vacuum leak in the back of the intake. It's pretty tight back there, so we'll have to do a little bit more work to check it out. But it appears to be upper intake to lower intake gasket issue.
Oh, okay. Well, is that just the one that goes on top of the lower intake?
Yeah, on top of the lower intake. It's one that goes between these two.
Yeah, oh, that's easy to change.
That's fairly easy.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's fairly easy.
He told me, Matt, you told me off camera, and I was worried like we had to replace the whole lower intake, and I know that's a mess. So.
No, you said you wanted to replace.
Well, that's because I thought, I did say I do have that GT40, guys, but I was like, if it's coming up anyway. But all right, anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I wasn't talking about bringing up the lower intake.
Okay, that's much better. Yeah, that's easy to do.
Right.
All right. We could do that.
Or maybe I was. We'll wait until we put it up.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
3 weeks again.
It is tight back here because all the original emission equipment and stuff.
It is.
Yeah, I remembered it was tight because I did my heater core bypass over there. Mm-hmm. The beautiful. How? What do you think about that? Is that going to hold up?
It worked. Yeah, it held up. You definitely did some origami with the metal tubing back there.
Well, maybe that was me.
But
maybe
you got
it.
That's true. Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it was me.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was me. You. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of bet. Heater tube needs to be replaced. But.
I know you'll be the one replacing it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Okay.
So heater tube needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
It's bent, right?
It's bent.
Okay.
Yep.
And what we're talking about, guys, here. This is the heater tube right here, and I very well could have bent it doing my heater core bypass, but it may have been bent already. Who knows?
Who knows? It's bent now, so that's all that matters. Let's not worry about who did it.
Right, it doesn't matter.
Right, let's not throw blame around. Let's just fix the thing.
All right.
Okay.
Fix the what? thing. All right. And you already mentioned the ignition.
Yeah, we covered basically everything, full tune-up, cap, rotor, wires, plugs, all that good stuff.
Do you check the distributor out when you do these things normally? Or?
I'll check for play at the end of the distributor. That's usually to make sure that somebody hasn't put in a distributor that didn't fit. But otherwise, the only thing that really goes bad in these distributors, there's a bushing that can wear out. That's pretty rare, honestly. But most of what happens with these distributors is the sensor goes out internally.
Yeah, the pip sensor, right?
Yes, the pip sensor. I usually don't check that. That requires hooking up an oscilloscope and tapping into
I think
one
we
of the
did an
wires.
upload on that a long time ago.
That's true. That's true. We did, but that is not something that's typically included
part of the inspection.
in the inspection. Now, if you do an engine diagnostic and we're having a type of ignition problem, that's one of the first things I check. Being that the car sat so long and it's had a lot of gas sit in it for long periods of time, I would definitely recommend, especially when we do the intake gasket, pull the injectors out and let's get them cleaned.
Okay.
It's probably really going to smooth out the idle and help a lot with fuel economy.
Those are fairly easy to pop out, as I recall. Once you get the intake, you just and then you have a way to clean them out. You shoot carburetor cleaner fluid, or
so
I forget.
I had a little not a makeshift, a little kit that I bought that you could hook up a can of fuel injection cleaner to it, and it had a little electrical connector that you can.
Oh, good catch.
Had a little electrical connector. You could hold the injectors wide open and flush it through. Those, it worked okay. It didn't work super great. Okay. So maybe by the time we do this, I'm looking at getting a fuel injection cleaning machine. Okay. To start doing injection cleanings for all the engines that we pull out and everything, because it does go a long way as far as fuel economy and running well. So maybe by then we can just do that here.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But that's definitely something that I would recommend. That's more of a preventative maintenance thing. Now, whenever we go in to actually diagnose what cylinder's not running or not working, one or more cylinders, check the ignition first. If we got ignition, we identify the cylinder, it's not working. There is a possibility maybe that injector just crapped out, and that's why it's not working. Okay. So, but
it
that's
could also be the spark plug too, right?
Could be the spark plug, could be a wire, it could be the pip sensor. Who knows?
Yeah.
But again, when we get into the engine diagnostics, it's actually do that.
So what I'll start with is replacing plugs and wires, and then we'll see how it runs. Run it down the road.
Exactly. That's a safe bet, just because you want to replace those anyway because they're 37 years old. Okay. Plus 53,000 miles. They want to be. They're recommended to be replaced every 60. Yeah. 60,000. So technically, you're.
I don't know, man. I could get another 7K more miles.
Yeah, and just wash that one cylinder
Actually,
down that's not working.
My daughter's driving, so yeah, I kind of want to make it work. You having fun down there?
I am.
Okay.
Your fan blade is starting to crack.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about this. This is not good.
And it's just starting. Well, let me find my light. Like I said, it's just starting. You gotta.
Okay.
Cracks in there. The clutch. It's working, but it's a little loose. Honestly, I would just recommend replacing that clutch too, because I'm pretty sure.
Think it might get a little bit of mileage? I mean, I know it's.
Yeah, you can definitely go a little bit with that. Okay. I'm just here to show you is hey, this isn't working properly. Yeah. Whether it's almost working or not working at all, if it's not working 100%, that's what I'm going to point out in the inspection. It's up to you on what you want to do. Can you get away with that for a while? Absolutely.
Yeah, but then it could drive it out of here and it could bust too.
Exactly, like a window motor.
Yeah, like this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
My recommendation as far as to make it a daily driver is to go ahead and do all of the aged rubber. So, all the coolant hoses, the PCV hose, the vacuum hoses, all that type of stuff that has to do with that can age and go bad and harden just from age. That's my standard recommendation, is to go ahead and replace all those. So this way
Can we put like an EGR spacer in there?
That is an EGR spacer.
Oh, okay, but I mean like disconnect the hoses, not even have them.
Oh, yeah, we can disconnect that. So what we can do, there is one on the market. I think there's a second one getting ready to hit. What we can do is this tube right here, since it needs to be replaced anyway.
Yeah, the heater tube?
Well, yeah, what we can do is we can get the one that's made for the Cobra, and the only difference is the one with the Cobra doesn't have this port on here. So that would just be eliminated, and then in the back, we would take the little port out of the threaded hole and just put a plug in there, and then that's eliminated. PCV system's one of the ones preventive maintenance replaced. So you had a couple potential oil leaks in the front, just a little bit seeping. Got a little bit seeping right there at the lower intake, maybe from the distributor O-ring, possibly lower intake. Again, it's not major, something that I probably wouldn't even worry about right now. Okay, so your AC clutch cycling switch right here, it's saturated in oil. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's saturated in oil. This is your clutch cycling switch, okay? Yeah. You can see it's like covered in oil. There is a strong possibility that is leaking AC oil through the bottom, or actually it would leak down here. But that's pretty simple to replace. I think you've done one of those. And
Yeah.
we've got to do one on Tar Heel maybe next weekend.
We've done like 2 or 3.
Yeah. So that's and if your compressor's not working or your AC's not working, that can very well be the cause.
Okay.
AC does not work.
There you go.
So yes, we checked
I
that.
was waiting to tell you that. I read. It does not work.
Oh, okay.
No heat
See,
or
she's ahead
cold.
of both of us.
She is.
Here, why don't you do the rest?
Yeah, can you do the rest
Well,
of
you
it?
know.
So that could be the reason why, though, right?
They could be. Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you start? That's the first thing you start with,
That's what I
replacing
would
that,
start
right? 'Cause
with,
it's
honestly.
easy.
But if the AC's not working on one of these cars, the first thing that I recommend, anything obvious, such as the clutch cycling switch, and then if we're not replacing any large components, just replace all the O-rings for all the AC lines.
Yeah, I remember we did that on
Yep.
Tar Heel. That worked at one point. So.
Right, my 85, it's got the original system from 85. When I got the car, it wasn't working. I just went through and replaced all the O-rings, charged it up, and retrofitted it. It's been cold for 2 years.
Nice.
So usually if something leaks on these things, it's usually the O-rings.
I'm not that lucky, Matt, just so you know.
We just replace everything.
We've replaced the O-rings and the clutch switch 3 times on Tar Heel, and it's still not working. Well, it worked in between, though.
What?
Yeah,
You did the O-rings on that car?
we did.
3 times?
No, O-rings once.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clutch cycling switch, I know we've been in that a couple of
Yeah.
times. Your radiator, look at all the corroded cores.
Oh, yeah.
That radiator should be replaced.
Okay. That's
All right,
a
because
must.
Any of those that are clogged or partially clogged, for every one that's clogged or partially clogged, cooling of the engine goes. It's
Okay.
less cooling. Your engine gets hotter and hotter.
Kristen, you need a radiator.
Oh boy.
Something that is not really, you don't have to tackle right now. It looks like somebody's put the wrong power steering fluid in there. I believe, if I remember correctly.
Because we got some contaminated fluid.
Yeah, it was black and low.
Okay.
Yeah, you look down in there. That ain't red.
No,
It's more brown.
Yeah, so it's contaminated system. So.
Yeah, so when you do end up having to replace something in the power steering system, since it's contaminated, we're doing everything.
Do the rack and everything. Yeah.
Rack, hoses, and pump.
All right.
Yeah.
Doing that on
But,
Tar Heel.
drive it until it starts to leak. Your transmission fluid was looking a little discolored. Good old AOD. See, that's not a bright pink red; it's more brown.
Yeah.
So that right there, I would. Automatics are really, really tricky. If the fluid's too black, if it's too worn out, that means there's too much contamination. If you put new transmission fluid in it, the detergents in the new fluid can break a lot of the plaque loose and start sticking up the valves in the valve body, and then the transmission just doesn't work. Yours doesn't look to be that bad. It is a little brown. Now you have another concern that for this vehicle, the fact that it's sat so long. AODs do not like sitting very long. So typically I would want to say let's do a transmission service on it. It's basically an oil change for a transmission. There's a filter inside the transmission that you got to change at the same time. And then you put new fluid in. The problem is with that type of a service, you're only replacing about 30% of the transmission fluid because most of the transmission fluid's holding the torque converter and within the valve body of the transmission. So to do that service, you're still going to have the contaminated fluid. So technically we would need to do the flush, but because of the age of the vehicle, I would definitely I would probably just drive it until it breaks and then rebuild it and keep up with services after that.
Because the flush could go ahead and break it, right?
The flush could just make it stop working, period.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen. It happens pretty quickly when it does.
I think we do a flush, not right now.
Not right now.
And then you drive it. When it breaks, you know what you do?
Put a 5-speed in.
Yes! Manual swap! Manual swap! Right here on the channel.
No.
We'll get her, guys. We'll get her.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, when it breaks. All right,
Not
anyway.
that soon. Not that soon.
So we're on the lift now. So if you look right here, you see on the fan blade, you see that little bit of mark on the end of each blade?
Yeah.
That's from being rubbed. I'm pretty sure it's rubbing the bottom of the fan shroud here. And that's probably from these motor mounts sagging and being blown out.
Okay.
They're sagged down. This is a older style. You really can't see the rubber. They're sunk down. You got some movement when you power torque it, when you power brake it.
So it needs motor mounts.
Yeah, it needs motor mounts. So you see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Up above this line's your valve cover, below it's your head. That's a cork gasket. That's why your valve covers are leaking so bad, and I think that's
They were corked from the factory, huh?
I didn't think so. Those may have been replaced.
Maybe
they
they're
may have
replaced.
been corked. I honestly don't know when Ford stopped
86
using
when they
it.
switched, to rubber.
Yeah, so those have probably been replaced. So that's where a lot of this oil has probably come from, because if you look right here, this one's horrible. It's all coming down the back of the block right here.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of this is from. Right there where that's pointing, you see all that oily, dirty mess?
Yeah.
That's all that valve cover leaking. And that's also right here. If you look right here, all this oil coming down the back of the motor right here, that's all coming from up there at that valve cover. Okay.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Look, it's not too bad.
Those are pretty easy to replace, yeah.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Matter of fact, we could do that at the same time we do the upper intake gasket.
That's when you would do it. Absolutely. Oil pan gasket. So you got a cork oil pan gasket. So all this.
I'm betting.
So some of this back here is probably oil pan as well.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have this. It looks like your low oil level right here. Low oil level sensor. It's leaking very, very common leak.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That one I could actually replace without too much trouble, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Oil pan gasket. It's gonna suck.
Yeah. I think we're going to keep putting oil in it for a little while.
Okay.
Just so she can
I would
drive
do
it.
that valve cover because it may be very minimal. When you do that valve
Right.
cover, you could be good for a little while. It might have it. There's so much oil back here, you can never roll out a rear main leak.
Right.
So typically what I do, unless we're already doing transmission work, if we have this much oil, I usually say, let's fix the obvious leaks, oil pan, valve cover, stuff like that, clean it up, see if it keeps going. If it continues to leak at that point, then if it's coming from between the bell housing and the shield here, then it's going to be rear main.
Okay.
So that's not usually anything I jump right into unless we're already doing transmission work. But it is a possibility and cannot be ruled out at this point.
All right, water pump.
Yeah, so water pump, you do have some leakage. Or remember where Tar Heel was having a problem leaking?
Yeah.
So you got
Near
a
the timing
tiny
chain
bit
cover.
right there. You see a little bit. See it right up in here?
Yep.
All that, like that rust and everything. That rust is from the steel plate, and that yellowish fuzzy stuff, that's coolant corrosion. That is not horrible, honestly. Like if you want to, you could push that quite a while more than likely. Just pay attention to it to see if, now here's the next thing. No, on a system this old, we have to keep in mind that this has been running a long time with no cooling system pressure. Why has it had no cooling system pressure? Because the cap's been no good.
cap.
So when we put a new cap on it, all of a sudden this thing's going to be operating up to 16 psi of internal pressure. So any of these areas that are maybe kind of leaking a little bit, chances are they're going to start leaking pretty good pretty quickly. And there's a possibility it may not leak for another 10, 20, 30,000 miles.
Yeah.
You never know. Speedometer cable, it's got some pretty heavy soaking. As long as it's not bouncing, as long as the speedometer's not bouncing and the insulation here isn't broken up, which it's not, then I wouldn't worry about it. Your O2 sensors, they look to be original. They're Ford stamped. So 60,000 mile replacement, just preventative maintenance.
Cool.
When we do the tune-up, that should be something included in the tune-up.
I know it's going to need exhaust anyway.
Yeah.
It's not even connected back
It's
up.
completely blown out right here.
Yeah.
It's separated.
So it might be getting a new H-pipe, which would be a good time to do that O2
Yeah,
sensor.
well, that's not even an H-pipe.
Well, right.
But yeah.
A whole new system's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but that's what I would recommend if you're going to do it. The H-pipe actually looks to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, these are hard to find now, too.
Yeah, now whether or not the cats inside are any good or not, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Your mufflers are rotted out.
Original Ford mufflers, there,
Original
right?
Ford mufflers, you got it. Yeah, E6s. Unfortunately, they're no good. They're probably rattle cans with a bunch of rattle stuff inside of them. We got our typical. Somebody thinks they're knowing what to do when they do a fuel pump, but they leave the hoses outside of the strap. So we just gotta drop this strap and tuck that up behind there so they don't lay on the exhaust and melt a hole in your fuel line.
Right. Does that mean somebody's changed the fuel pump, I guess?
That's what it looks like. Somebody's been in there, either that or maybe it was an 86 thing. They didn't do it in 86. I doubt that though, but the chances are somebody's dropped that strap down and just not put that back up in there. Fuel filter looks like it's been replaced. It has been replaced, so they probably
when they
may
did
have
the
done
fuel
that
filter.
when they did the fuel pump. Now keep in mind, if this thing sat for 20 years, let's see if this even has the original tank. It does have the original tank. If this thing sat for 20 years, I can pretty much guarantee you they needed to put a fuel pump in it to get it running. They did do it because right here, your main power line to your fuel pump has been pinched between the body and the fuel tank when they put the fuel tank back up.
Okay.
So this fuel tank has been out before. Now, that's it for the drive line. Now we'll move on to suspension. Basically what we got here, now this is where the age thing really comes into play. You got some obvious sway bar bushings are cracked, need to replace those. But what we get with the struts, you can see this strut right here. So these are original struts. They're black with the yellow sticker. Your springs are original, pretty sure. Yeah, they got the green stickers on them.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah, right there you can see the green sticker. So they're original.
Yep.
Right? Your ball joints are original. There doesn't seem to be any play in the tie rods. Basically, to make the car ride more comfortably, it's just time for springs and struts, pure and simply. That's something that does have a service interval that they recommend replacing, including springs, because the springs do wear out over time.
Oh, and the struts on that side's completely shot. So.
Yeah, more like it's completely shot because of this wheel. hitting right there. That's pretty tight. Same thing in the rear shocks. Trying to see if one of them was leaking. Okay, no, you didn't have any actual shocks leaking, but everything's OEM, so that right there replaced due to mileage.
Funny you mentioned that, Matt, because
Really?
I have some news on the struts and shocks.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a set of Coney Yellows that may have been for that junk pile that are going to get repurposed for this car. So you're going to get new Coneys.
Nice.
Yeah, they're cool. You'll like them. You can adjust them. You Okay, anyway, back to the inspection.
Not gonna let you get away with that junk pile, even if I gotta finish it.
Yeah, somebody will finish it. Tell me there's something going on with the rear end back here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
You
Okay,
have
I can see
a
it.
really bad pinion seal leak.
Okay.
And this is the pinion seal here coming down. It's just basically leaking all over here. This is probably, honestly, the worst thing I've seen on the car. As far as actually being broken and bad. That's a pretty extensive leak.
Yeah.
So the chances are, if it's leaking that bad, the chances are is the bearings and gears are ate up for lack of lubrication with as much oil that's on the outside here. I don't know how much. That's assuming that somebody hasn't been constantly checking it, adding and topping it off.
Right.
You know, so and here's the next thing. To do that pinion seal properly, because you need to take the nut off, you can't just do the seal and then expect the gears to be back right and the spec for the bearing to be right. You really have to, bare minimum, do the bearings. If we don't replace the gears, we're bare minimum doing the bearings to do that seal.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's technically a rear end rebuild. Yeah. So.
I remember how to do those. It's been a long time though. I have to rewatch my video series.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Matt? Theme of the day.
There you go.
There's a rear end.
There you go. That's true. That's true.
Parts car. Kristen's fine with it.
Yeah.
That's when we rebuilt that rear end back in 2019, Matt.
Wow.
Yeah, hard to believe.
That was one of the first things we did.
It was.
That's right. I had to come over to your house to help you get it in, right?
Yeah, you did.
That's right.
No, to get. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I helped you get it in, and we got it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
First thing we did together.
Memories.
Huh?
It was. Well, yeah, that was the first thing.
Yeah. First thing.
4 years. Dang it.
All right. Cool. So we'll go ahead.
Oh, that does suck.
Bring this down. Take the tires off.
Rear end rebuild. Oh.
So your speed sensor, it's leaking internally. That's where a lot of this fluid's coming from. It's leaking right through that sensor, right down the housing. But that's not horrible. A lot of this oil up here is coming from the oil leak up here. So again, under here, other than oil leaks and a little bit of miswork at the fuel tank and stuff, and of course, obviously you got bad exhaust. But most everything in here, like as far as suspension stuff, you're still looking at like preventive maintenance things. But of course, we have this blown strut, or the strut not working, allowing this wheel to rub.
That's the big one.
But after that takes care of under here, and then we can go to brakes.
All right, moving on to the brakes.
Yep.
Sad about the rear end. Don't disappoint me here too bad.
You need everything.
Yeah.
As far as the rotor being kind of rough on the back side, from it probably you can see the lines here, and that's probably caused from letting it sit for a while and rust up, and then driving it to clean the rust off, which creates these grooves. But the other issues are, like, I compressed this piston, and this should move back and forth pretty easy like that. So the slides are sticking real common, and just the lubrication's dried out. Your brake hoses, they're not cracked, but they're old. You got a lot of rust on the ferrule crimps here. And hoses, the rubber starts breaking down inside. The brake fluid over time does attack the rubber. And then once that starts breaking down, that's one of the reasons O-rings and rubber hoses breaking down. That's why brake fluid goes from like an opaque clear to black.
Yeah, this one's really black. I checked it.
Right. So, and because of that, that's why I'm recommending your hoses. You got your exterior corrosion here on the ferrules. Your caliper slides are sticking, so, you know, lubing that. I would definitely recommend rebuilding the calipers just because of those O-rings there. Also, the O-rings that seal the piston, they break down over time. Plus, when I compressed it, it's a little stiff compressing. It should go easy. You know, that's an issue due to the calipers. Now we'll go to the other side, where we have a hang-up issue. If you compare the two sides, this is your squealer, this little metal tab right here. When your brake pads are completely worn out, that it should be touching. It's not quite touching, but if you see right here, you've already got something metal to metal right here. And I think it's from your brake pads coming apart. So if you look in here, look right here. You see that rough texture right in there, how it looks kind of crumbly?
Yeah.
You can see that's not the rotor, that's your brake pad coming apart from age.
Okay.
So basically these pads are basically crumbling as you drive it because they're so old.
Huh.
And I've seen that happen in my personal car. I actually put on a set of new old stock rear shoes. Turns out it's a bad idea because brake pads don't age well, and the shoe lining came loose from my brand new shoe and locked up my left rear tire.
Ooh.
Yeah, so NinOS isn't always best. Most of the time it is, but
It was best in 1985, but yeah.
yeah. So again, hoses, basically preventative maintenance since we're doing all the other hydraulics. Your metal to metal on the brakes, the brake pads are coming apart. Same thing with the slides. So yeah, we're basically looking at full front end overhaul. Plus,
Yeah, what about rotors? Replace them?
yeah, I would probably replace the rotors. If you feel right here, you've got a heck of a lip.
See, is there a lip on the end?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So that's the indication of where the rotor used to be in its thickness, and that's how much it's worn down.
Okay.
So we could mic it, check the thickness, and there is on the back of the rotor, it says what the minimum thickness is, and we can machine it, and as long as it's above that point, we could reuse it.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Just throw a new rotor on.
Just throw a new rotor on. Yeah.
They're not expensive, as I recall. So.
They're not too bad, no.
Yeah.
The wheel bearings on the left front, forgot to show you that, but your wheel bearing on the left front, it's got a good wobble in it. So,
Packing the bearings won't be enough.
if we're doing rotors, we'll just put new bearings on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the master cylinder?
On a vehicle this old with original brakes, we talked about the hoses collapsing and the O-rings breaking down and stuff like that. Well, the proportioning valve in the master cylinder has the most O-rings. Just on preventative maintenance to make sure everything's functioning properly, I definitely recommend go ahead and putting a master and rebuilding the proportioning valve. All right, your brake booster does have a small vacuum leak. So your brake booster is technically defective.
I was feeling good. Now I'm feeling bad.
So if you look right here, your metal to metal on this rivet.
Yeah.
This rear shoe is completely worn out. So that right there, and then we add in, more than likely this is factory hardware. So we replace that. Your wheel cylinder's rusty and leaking brake fluid. Not sure if you can see that right there. There we go.
Yeah,
all that fluid and all that rust, see all that chunky rust up in there? That's why we're going to do the master and proportioning valve as well. Because here's the thing, brake fluid absorbs moisture. So at one point you got a leak, or if the cap is left loose or the seal on the cap has a problem, that brake fluid starts absorbing moisture and it starts rusting the system from the inside out. So brake flushes are automatically going to be included with all that. Fortunately, we are pretty much 100% worn out on the rear brakes, on the brake system.
Okay.
The brake system definitely recommend doing everything.
Well, brakes are something that
And it's a safety
you really don't want to play around with on the brakes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I want my daughter to be able to stop.
That's a
That
good
would be
idea.
good.
Yeah.
Especially if you're putting 410s in there.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with 575s. I don't know if that's an option, but I'm going to try 630s.
Go for that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We can have a custom one.
Yeah, the top speed will be 40 miles an hour, but man, she'll get there like that. Well, there you go, guys. Everything wrong with a 37-year-old Mustang. Really not too bad. I don't know. Let's check in first. Kristen, how are you feeling with all this?
It's good to see her again. I wish she was in a little bit better condition, but all things considered, not too bad.
All right, so she's feeling a little optimistic.
Good.
Matt, what's your feeling on the car?
I think it's a great car. If I was going to buy a car that I wanted a super clean Fox body, lower mileage, but something I could drive without worry, perfect candidate.
Yeah, and when
Now-
you say without worry, you mean about diminishing the value, right?
Correct. Yes, exactly. As far as the wear and stuff on this thing, I don't think it's unreasonable for a machine that's 37 years old that has sat most of its life.
Really, the only thing you found was the
rear end
fuel
and the
tank.
brakes.
Well, the rear end brakes, yeah, as far as what sat, but
Yeah.
the only thing done wrong to the car was just the fuel tank,
Pretty much.
essentially,
Yeah.
which is not a big deal because it didn't blow up yet. So
Right. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Yet. Hopefully never.
Well, if you were going to, add, you wanted to drive this car as quickly as possible, and you could put up with little things, what from your list would you do? Obviously, brakes and rear end seem like the top ones.
Brakes and if you want to stay on top of the fluid on the rear end, you can keep rolling with that as long as you want to keep topping it off. But yeah, the brakes definitely, the engine miss,
The tune-up?
and the cooling system.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much definitely the tune-up, but there is a possibility that dead cylinder is something more than just
We
the
gotta
cap rotor
investigate
wire
that.
plugs. Well, yeah, but you need a tune-up anyway, so we'll start with that, and if that doesn't clear it out, then we need to go into further diagnostics.
Fly. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Tune-up's easy to do. Brakes,
Oh,
I'm not
vacuum leaks too.
You know, oh yeah, vacuum leak. I feel that. And that's the running quality of the car.
Well, that's going to have to do with fuel economy and being a speed density. Vacuum leaks means that you could potentially be running lean, and you don't want to run a high head temperature.
Yeah.
So, tune-up. Let's just say tune-up and drivability stuff for sure. That's vacuum leaks, tune-up, engine missing.
All right. What about you, Kristen? You want your window to go up and down? You want your CD player?
I mean,
you only got to worry about the passenger side. Your side works fine.
Yeah. I mean, who cares about my brother? You know, I drive him. He'll deal with it.
AC. You said you wanted that.
AC is nice.
Yeah, you can roll the windows down. Nice. So.
Oh, only one of them.
Yep. And with that, I think that's pretty much got some work to do on this car. It's got. How long do you think it would take you, Matt, to get this on the road if you were?
Everything we talked about?
Just now, just those essential things.
Just those essential
including
things.
the rear end. I want to include the rear end.
Including the rear end, 7 to 14 days.
Okay. There you go. It's going to be a minute. Well, look for many more Saturday videos from me coming soon. But no, the car is actually great shape as far as the body, and even it's great to work with. It's a very good starting base.
The mechanical's really in great shape. You know,
much better than we started with Nemesis. Much better shape than that car.
Yeah, much better shape than any of the cars that I have.
Yeah.
As far as where I started with them, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's actually better than Tar Heel because it needed the engine for sure when you first saw it. So, yeah. All right. Are you happy with your car?
I'm very happy.
Yeah, but you want to drive it.
Yes.
So, I better stop talking and get busy. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Actually, Kristen is going to try to help do some of the work on the car, I believe, right? You're going to try?
I hope so.
Yeah, what's the issue with that? Why can't you necessarily maybe do everything?
I have a job.
Yeah, you got to make me car payments.
I know, it's true.
Yeah, so guys, she saved a lot of money. She did put that down to get the car. We got the car, but she's already making car payments on a car you can't drive.
True. On a car I can't drive.
You know what that is? FoxBody Life.
Very true.
I got to get her the shirt, guys. All right, cool. Well, I'll work on it, and she may show up again or not. Matt will probably show up a lot more, as you know. And if they want anything done, like an inspection, FoxResto.com, or what's it call you? Probably.
Yeah, no, you can email parts@FoxResto.com, or you can give the shop a call, 704-888-1278.
There you go. And I'll put all that up on the screen. So thank you guys for tuning in. Gearhead 704 is back-ish, more regular uploads, and this is the new project. Nemesis is not done. So we are not like throwing it away. We will come back to it eventually, but I need something else to distract me that'll be 7 to 14 days instead of 7 to 14 years. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're stopping here for the first time, please subscribe so I can see that number go up. We'll see you here next time on Gearhead 704. A Gearhead 704 video. Uh-oh. What are you trying to get the bloopers? We're going to do one. We're gonna blooper. Gonna bring in Matt, owner of FoxResto, right now. Wait, there's his leg over there. Hold on. Blooper. I'm gonna bring in Matt right now through the power. I can't have to do it because I'm laughing too much. Through the power of YouTube. Oh yeah, that's the owner of the car over there, Kristen. Say hi, Kristen. And there's Matt. Okay, I'm messing this all up. Right here. Oh boy. So you thought you were rusty.
You start drinking already? We all dry out and shrink over time.
Oh boy, that's a blooper. Anyway. Our blender cable, I guess.
Nope, not a blender. We're not making drinks. No margaritas.
Dang it. There is. Oh, Lily. You watched the video?
I do.
Liar. She does watch some of them. Right, so you're like the doctor, basically stop eating fatty fried foods.
You know it. I know you won't, but you should.
All right, guys, there you go.
Hey.
Peanut gallery over there. Don't say those words in front of my daughter. No. Don't you be saying that in front of my daughter.
Don't say peanut.
All right.